The stars had always been a source of wonder. To most civilizations across the galaxy, the vastness of space was both beautiful and terrifying. For the alien species known as the Ithar, space was something to be conquered. They had traveled from one end of the galaxy to the other, destroying and absorbing countless other species into their empire. They were relentless, their fleet unmatched by any other. No race, no matter how strong, had ever stood in their way. That was until they encountered humanity. The Ithar had been watching Earth for centuries, observing the strange species that lived there. They saw the small blue planet and its fragile inhabitants, and at first, they believed it was an easy target. Humanity was primitive, fragmented, and divided. They had no unified power, no military strength capable of fending off the Ithar invasion. The Ithar had seen many such species before, and they thought they could easily subjugate the humans, like they had done to so many others. But they underestimated the power of the human spirit. It all began one quiet afternoon when the Ithar fleet arrived in Earth's orbit. The world's people were going about their daily routines, unaware of the threat looming overhead. Suddenly, the sky darkened as enormous ships appeared, blotting out the sun. Their ships, vast and imposing, seemed like dark giants descending from the heavens. The people of Earth stared in disbelief, and panic spread like wildfire. Governments scrambled to assess the threat. Panic quickly turned into chaos as cities went into lockdown. Military forces prepared for an enemy they knew nothing about. Yet, no one could offer any real hope. The Ithar were too powerful, too advanced. What could humans possibly do to fight back? In the face of this unimaginable crisis, humanity's survival instincts kicked in. There was no time for despair. The humans would need to act fast if they were to have any hope of surviving. But more than just instinct, there was something deeper, an unyielding will to fight, to protect their families, their homes, and their future. In response, something remarkable began to happen. The world's leaders, despite their differences, gathered in secret to form a united front. For the first time in history, human nations set aside their conflicts and prejudices to fight for a single shared goal: survival. What had once seemed impossible was now reality. Countries, which had been bitter rivals for centuries, now formed a coalition. Weapons were hastily constructed, and communication lines were set up to coordinate defenses. Meanwhile, humanities scientists, engineers, and military strategists worked tirelessly to understand the technology of the Ithar. Earth's military commanders, who had once been focused solely on defending their individual nations, now focused their efforts on global defense. They shared their information and resources, learning as much as they could from the few intercepted transmissions from the Ithar fleet. But the Ithar were not easily intimidated. Their weapons, their ships, their armor, they were all far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. They had no interest in diplomacy. The Ithar wanted Earth, and they wanted it now. The first attack came swiftly. Ithar warships released devastating energy beams that destroyed entire cities in a matter of seconds. The devastation was overwhelming, and for a moment, it seemed as though all hope was lost. Human military forces launched counterattacks, but they were outclassed in every turn. The Ithar ships were simply too powerful. It was clear that Earth was in grave danger. And yet, despite all this, humanity did not break. They did not surrender. Instead, something incredible began to happen. The resistance against the invaders came not just from Earth's armies, but from every citizen, every individual. The military was bolstered by ordinary civilians, engineers, doctors, and scientists who contributed their knowledge and skills. People from all walks of life joined the fight, creating weapons, launching cyber attacks, and spreading information. The human race came together in a way that had never been seen before. The world may have been divided in the past, but the arrival of the Ithar united them like nothing else could. It was a human scientist, Dr. Emily Jansen, who made the breakthrough that changed everything. She had been studying the Ithar technology for weeks, examining the wreckage of the ships that had been shot down. With the help of Earth's brightest minds, Dr. Jansen managed to develop a countermeasure, a device capable of disabling the Ithar's energy shields. The Ithar had been nearly invulnerable because of their energy fields, But now humanity had a way to break through that barrier. The weapon was risky and untested, but it was humanity's best chance. The plan was set into motion. A group of elite human soldiers, led by Captain Alex Mason, was tasked with infiltrating the Uethar flagship. They had to get close enough to plant the device inside the alien ship's core. If the mission failed, humanity's chances of survival would be slim. But Captain Mason and his team knew the risks. They had no choice but to succeed. The team fought their way through the heavily armed corridors of the Uethar vessel, facing overwhelming odds. The Uethar were faster, stronger, and more technologically advanced. But humanity had something that the Uethar could never understand: sheer determination. Each time a soldier fell, the others pushed forward. They fought not just for their lives, but for their planet. They would not let Earth fall to the invaders. After what felt like an eternity, they'd reached the core. The device was planted. The countdown began. The Uethar were caught completely off guard. For the first time, their ships were vulnerable. The energy shields faltered and failed. Humanity's forces, coordinated through global networks, launched their final assault. The Uethar fleet fell one by one. The alien ships exploded in the sky, fire and debris raining down to Earth. The invaders, once so confident in their superiority, were now on the retreat. The humans had outsmarted them. They had fought with a force that the Uethar had never anticipated. Victory was bittersweet, but it was undeniable. Earth had been saved, but the battle had come at a cost. Cities were in ruins, and many lives had been lost. Yet, the victory belonged to humanity. The Uethar had made a terrible mistake. They had thought that humanity was weak, that they were just another species to conquer. But the humans had proven that their greatest strength was their unbreakable will to survive. Captain Mason stood on the steps of the United Nations building, looking up at the sky. The battle was over, but the war had just begun. The Uethar had been defeated, but there were other threats out there in the vastness of space. Humanity had shown that it could stand up to even the most powerful forces in the galaxy, and now they would continue to fight for their place among the stars. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, the Uethar were terrified. The aliens had learned the hard way that the power of mankind was something to be feared.